Okay. Why is this reversed? Okay. We're on the record in case 06D349743, Christopher Horodesky versus Amber Johnson. Counsel, your appearances for the record.
Good morning, Your Honor. Michael Carmen, bar number 7639 with Chris Horodesky and Fran Fine making a pseudo-retired guest appearance today.
I saw her come through my door. I'm like, I thought she retired.
She did.
Of counsel. Oh, perfect. Okay.
And Chris has been my client for 13 years. So
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. Miss Connon.
Yes, good morning, Your Honor. Lynn Conant, bar number 8036. I'm the guardian ad litem in this matter.
Good morning, Your Honor. Amber Robinson, bar number 10731, and I'll stay on behalf of defendant Amber Johnson, who's present.
Okay. Welcome all. We are here today on the status check regarding child's therapy and report on how the new structure is working. So really, Ms. Conant, it's basically your show today.
Well, can I ask, actually, before we proceed, as a
Mm-hmm.
preliminary matter, we received a document that was filed by the defendant on the 14th.
Okay.
A flagrant violation of court rules. It's a fugitive document in every shape of the word. Mm-hmm. And we are asking to have it stricken. It contains just false allegations about the history of this case, and it's poor Miss Fine. I mean, it's asking to have her reported to the bar for complaints of things that happened in 2016. And, EDCR allows you to file a motion, an opposition, and potentially a reply. There is a provision for supplements, but that does not in any way, shape, or form meet the supplement definition in the rules. So we are asking to have it stricken. And if the court has read it,
I have not read it. My law clerk did not put it in here, so
Okay.
I have not read it because I put there. She put notes on kind of caution. So you said that was filed on the 14th.
it appears to have been filed on the 14th. I found out about it yesterday.
And Your Honor, it was filed as a memorandum, but it actually set a motion hearing date. So that motion, everybody would have the chance to reply. That would be coming up in August.
So, counsel, are you going to read? My concern is it's filed as a memorandum. I need it filed as a motion if it's meant to be a motion. So I am going to grant Mr. Carmen's request that it be stricken and it be refiled. If you want it as a motion, I need it as a motion.
It was filed by the defendant, but if I could just point out to Your Honor, it was filed a motion up top, and then on the next page there's a notice of motion.
On my screen, it's showing me memorandum.
Yeah, that's what the title of the document is, but everywhere else it looks like a motion to me. So
Okay,
I can
but
tell her
my
to
concern is
retitle
that
it.
does it even have time set for hearing? Because I do show an 8-1 motion. I do have 8-1 motion set. Is that the time it's set on there?
Yes.
Okay.
And candidly, that motion or the memorandum,
So you know,
whatever it is,
I have not even seen. I have not read it. Counsel,
and
because
we
it's
think
not
it should be
before me.
grounds for sanctions. To the extent you haven't read it, that's fine. If you want to treat it as a motion and I file an opposition, I can. But I got to tell you, Your Honor, I think it's a sanctionable document.
Okay. Counsel, I'm going to request that you refile it. I'm going to strike it as a memorandum because it's mistitled and it's going to be very confusing for the record, for the court record in the future. If we have to go back looking for a motion and it says memorandum, that's a concern for the court.
Okay. And just so you know, it's not my motion, so the defendant would be.
She filed it on
refiling
her
in
own.
proper
So are you
proceedings.
appearing unbundled, counsel?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, my comments are no way directed towards Ms. Robinson.
I understand. But counsel, as you are appearing here today on behalf of your client, I would strongly caution her that she needs to be cautious on what she's putting in those, and that counsel is correct. It's sanctionable, and that could be sanctions against you financially or otherwise. You understand that, ma'am?
Yes, I do.
Okay, so I'm going to strike it. I'm going to allow you an opportunity to talk to your client. I realize you might only be unbundled for this issue, but I'm going to request that you talk to her on that issue as well, because there's no way that I'm going to allow such derogatory things about counsel being thrown about carelessly here. That's not okay, and that's why Mr. Carmen's bringing it forward as a. So I have not read it. So frankly, Mom, you are actually lucky that I haven't read it. So because I just had notes here that's not before me, and so we did not go through that. So
Okay.
anything else preliminarily that needs
Yes.
to be raised?
I have read it.
Okay.
I was given a copy this morning. I would like.
I didn't defend Ms. Conan. I figured she can defend
Yeah,
herself
I
and the
can.
allegations.
I've been accused of doing numerous things that are patently untrue, and I have witnesses to them.
Okay.
However, based on that and the animus, the absolute animus defendant has towards me, I don't know that I can continue. I mean, however, as I say this, I want to say that I think her animus is intended to drive out anyone in this position who would help a child.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, it's not just me. I
You're-
think that's
Okay, she's a guardian ad litem. She's one person that's in here that I find more neutral than in the rest
yeah.
of you.
I don't have a dog in the fight, so to speak.
Right.
This is a good kid, and I believe he's aligned with mom for a number of different reasons. Did you read my initial report in this matter?
I did not see your initial report in here,
Okay.
but I mean, I did go through a lot of the reports previously. That's why he was asked to go see Bree Mullen,
Right.
right? I mean, I did go through that
Yeah.
portion.
And as
Counsel.
far as Bree Mullen, the last I knew is we were waiting to have the contract finalized. Okay, they're lucky to get in with Dr. Mullins, as her calendar is packed, as I've worked on with her on another matter. But like I said, I don't know.
So she's just now, I mean, this was March. The court ordered that March 29th.
When we appeared in, actually Ms. Fine appeared in March. I watched the videotape today, so I understand what
Yeah, I did
happened.
too.
In March, we advised the court that Ms. Mullen had no availability until May.
Okay. So that makes
Once she
sense.
was
I just wanted to
available
make
and got
sure.
us a contract,
I wanted
it
to make
was-
sure, so that's still the problem. That's still the
Well,
problem.
we signed
Yeah,
a contract,
it was signed and
everything's
it's paid
signed,
for.
and we're just waiting
Okay.
for them to get appointments.
But I would like some guidance from the court because watching the first hearing, and I'm sorry to
That's
feel
okay.
like I'm
Go right
interrupting.
ahead.
Between the first hearing and the second hearing, it went from a forensic interview to her being appointed as a therapist. And I want to make sure, just going forward, that we're 100% crystal clear what Ms. Mullen's role is going to be in these proceedings, so that there's no
Right.
problems going forward in the future.
And Judge,
Ms. Conant, I mean, you are the one person, like I said, guardian ad litem is
Okay.
supposed to determine what's best for this child right now. So
Okay.
can you tell the court what you're requesting?
well, Judge, right now, what
You
I'm
can have a
requesting
seat,
is,
sir. You can have a seat now.
I need some clarification as to what my role is in this matter.
Okay.
Okay, I'm being pulled in multiple directions. Dad has called me, Mom has supplied me with copies of transcripts and orders in this matter, and I find both to be inappropriate contacts with me.
Okay.
Okay, I feel like I'm being tugged in the role of a parenting coordinator rather than a guardian ad litem. So I would like some clarification from the court. If the court wants me to stay in, what am I supposed to do in this matter?
And I'll apologize for my clients' calls. When there have been problems that have arisen regarding the minor child, I have encouraged him to call Ms. Conan. I thought that was an appropriate tack to take. So to the extent that that may be perceived as him doing something wrong, I apologize for
I
things.
don't know that it's wrong so much
Mhm.
as we need to
You
have
need
the
some
rule
guidance.
clarified, yes.
I understand.
Because I
Okay.
see both the parties as being represented by counsel, therefore, they shouldn't talk to
Yeah.
me.
I understand.
And my client feels that it's wrong. Dad's contacts with Ms. Conant has been wrong. And from my client's point of view, this is a long torture
But she
history.
she contacted too, so it
Well,
sounds like two wrongs don't
She
make a right.
provided me with a packet of information, Judge, and quite frankly, what did I do with it? Shredded it, because I found it to be an ex parte communication. I found it to be completely inappropriate, just as I didn't like Dad's conversations with me either.
I understand. Okay, sounds like we just need a little guidance. As far as what is the counsel requesting? I mean, normally I would say she is an attorney just like the rest of you, and you guys are there. She's taking the proper procedure that your clients are represented. But you, in your situation, unbundled, so on again, off again. So I don't know. With her communication would almost be like Mr. Carmen's communication when she's not
I
represented.
understand, but she is
But
represented
she is
at this
represented
point.
today. So what's your
So,
position, Miss?
Your Honor, these are my client's requests. I personally don't have anything against Ms. Conant, but coming from my client's point of view, for example, at the last hearing, Ms. Conant came in with a concern about thinking that my client had put her cell phone in Ms. Conant's purse to record conversations. And so my
Wait, she
client,
put her cell phone in Miss Conant's purse to. Okay.
yes, and
I
Ms. Conant.
I never said who placed it.
No,
I
no,
said
no.
the cell
Yeah.
phone was found in my purse. I have a large handbag, Your Honor, and quite frankly, I have never mistakenly picked up someone else's cell phone, ever.
So my client feels that Ms. Conant's supposed to be speaking for the child because he hasn't ever really had a voice in this matter, and it just that whole situation in and of itself kind of put a negative taste, my client feels, in Ms. Conant's mouth for her, believing that my client did something that she didn't do.
I didn't say who
Okay.
did it.
Okay, counsel, I think that both parties need to understand that a guardian's ad litem role is the best interest of the child. It's not a cap attorney. They're not representing what the kid wants or what the kid only says. Their goal, their job is to present the court with what they feel is the best interest by discussing things with the child, and that's the issue. The concern becomes how you're communicating with the guardian ad litem. That's a concern. That's why I asked you the problem is you're saying you're unbundled. How long are you unbundled for, counsel? I mean, are you just for this hearing, or are you for, what is your unbundled
I've
agreement
been
with
kind
them?
of on and off in this case.
Okay.
I've provided communications from my client. I've had a couple of conversations with Ms. Fine and
Because
Ms.
that leaves the
Clement.
guardian ad litem in a very bad position. It's either are you on or you're off. I mean, if you don't have an attorney, then you're supposed to speak directly. But if you do, you're supposed to go through counsel. That's the problem.
And the problem with going through counsel, if a
costly.
parent is just providing information, it seems silly for client to provide it to
I
me,
agree.
to
I
be
agree.
charged money and to send it to Ms. Conant.
I don't disagree, but I don't want the taint
Yeah.
of being biased, Judge. That's
Right.
why I don't want to hear individually from either party. I just don't
Okay.
want the taint.
Okay.
Perhaps communication should be copied on both parties?
That would be fairer. I mean, that look, if they're both copied between each parties, but again, Mom, I don't know what happened with your cell phone, but I don't know how it got in her purse. And I understand you're saying, look, I trust her to be very fair, and she's not saying, hey, I don't know who put it in there. I don't know how it fell in there. I don't know. So I don't think that's an issue. I believe that your counsel is just putting forth your position that you think that taints her opinion of you. I don't believe that to be the case. What I'm seeing here, I don't see that to be the case. So I'm not going to dismiss Ms. Conant to be the guardian ad litem. I'd like her to stay in there. She's right now the most valuable person in this case as far as trying to figure out what is the best interest for your child. So Hayden
The other
deserves
issue
it.
though my client had though was that as a guardian ad litem, she felt that Ms. Conant was to help get this going with Dr. Mullins.
Well, we can
And-
only go as fast as Dr. Mullins' schedule allows. That's a problem.
And the problem with Dr. Mullins, Your Honor, is I tried to use her in another matter. Quite frankly, that interview would not be until October, and we started the process in February. So
I
to
know.
get the matter in now with Dr. Mullins, she's just overbooked. That's all
Yeah,
there is to
I
it.
found that to be
And
the
my
case.
other matter, when I called her, she wasn't even taking new clients.
So we don't know when Mr. Carmen, do we know when the...
As of right now, we don't know when things are going
Okay,
to
we
be
just have the
scheduled.
contract signed and...
Correct.
Well, the plaintiff categorized Hayden at the December hearing as extremely fragile.
Okay.
And then it took all the way until the March hearing to get going with Dr. Mullins. My client made very prompt contact with Dr. Mullins' office and signed everything she needed to sign back in April.
Okay.
And then the last communication I had from plaintiff's attorney's office was that the contract was signed, but that was at the very end of May. And so my client's sitting here thinking like, you
How
have
fragile
this-
is our child with
Right.
that case? Okay, let me talk the guardian ad litem.
Just to clarify, my fragile child comments had to do with mom's influence over the child and mom being abusive toward the child. It didn't have, this child is definitely being torn between two parents. He's I don't think Miss Conant's going to say he's a fragile child per se,
No,
but he
he's
is
pretty
fragile
hardy.
when
Pretty
it
hardy.
comes
He's a pretty
to
hardy young man.
the
Okay.
fragile comments were made in the context of why we wanted a professional to interview the
Okay.
child rather than FMC, and because of him being subjected to influences of parents. Again, that was the context of the fragile comments.
So you're talking about fragile as far as interviewing, being with a professional can handle in the proper state. Is that correct, Mr.
Correct,
Carmen?
and
Okay.
Hayden certainly is going to benefit from therapy. Hayden is going to benefit from a guardian ad litem, but he's not a per se fragile kid. He's not a child who's going to constantly break down and cry. I think.
Well, but according to Ms. Conant, though, that there's been issues where the child may have overheard things being said about this litigation. That's part of the concern that you've raised with the court, right, Ms. Conant? And that also is concerned on how the child may be manipulating his parents. That he is a strong child. That's what you're
Yes.
saying.
He is,
Strong,
without a doubt.
and that's great. Part of it, but there's a balance between raising a strong child and one that thinks that they're so empowered that they don't have to follow orders from anybody, even this court. And this court doesn't tolerate the empowerment to that level where the children don't have to do what they're told. I mean, you got to everything else. You got to make them do other things. You got to make them go to school. You got to make the policies. And I think your concern is that he's manipulating, trying to do that. Is
Without a
that
doubt.
correct?
Without a doubt.
Okay, 'cause that was what I saw in
He's
your report.
old enough now to where he understands the dynamics between mom and dad. He understands that there's virtually zero communication between them. And I had put forth the idea that these parties need to get together in a situation where they can both talk to one another. Hi, how are you? The weather's great. It's pretty warm. So that the child can see that even in the worst situation,
They got a united
parents can
front.
get along.
And that they have a united front, because if
Yes.
not, that child's going to find every opening that you guys have. You know, ma'am, you're sitting there a little bit smirking at me, and I got to be honest with you. You're the one that's going to suffer at your home when that child thinks that.
Relationship.
Okay, but I gotta tell you, I'm concerned
I agree
when
with
I see
what
that
she's
kind of
saying.
behavior. So you agree with what she's saying?
What she's saying.
Dad, what about you? I mean, you guys do need to cooperate. Look, if that child sees an opening, he's gonna take advantage of it. And you guys are trying to raise a happy, healthy member of society, correct? Okay. But if you guys can't put aside your animosity that I'm hearing that even Ms. Cohn's saying, look, I want you guys to be in the room, why can't you do that? Can you, I mean, it should start with something simple. Go to a movie that the child likes. And you only have to have short interaction with each other. You're watching a movie the whole time, but the kid sees you.
Your Honor,
Right,
she
anything
tried
that's
to work-
simple.
She tried to have dinner with them.
I suggested
And they haven't been able to get that done,
we
even though
meet
my
at
client's very willing and
Applebee's.
able.
Okay.
where it's loud
Okay.
and there's lots of other people.
Perfect.
Witnesses videotaped.
Mom,
where
what's
we
wrong
can
with that
all
idea?
sit at a
Never
table.
brought to my attention.
Oh, please.
I've
Okay.
never been told about
I
it. Show me
drafted
Okay,
a
let
letter to
me tell you,
council.
it sounds like the guardian ad litem is reading it, and the court's going to order that. How about if the court orders it, then it's brought to both your attention right now. I don't have any dispute about that. Okay, my order is going to be Applebee's,
Applebee's Town Square,
Town Square.
okay?
Do you have a date?
I'll get, if I can, I'll get my,
Your Honor, just so you know, my client.
She's saying she's willing, I get it, counsel.
Yeah. No, but I'm just gonna let you know she's about to birth a child. She's not
Okay.
due until the 15th, but she could go at any time right now.
Okay,
I'm sorry, the 15th of
July.
July, okay.
okay. Well,
I'm-
we're not quite, we're just at June, so she's got a month, but she could go early, but for right now, let's do it sooner than later.
I
I'm
can,
just gonna let you know that if that came up, just to.
If that came up, she'll certainly be bringing me a picture of that baby, right? And then I'll know that it happened, so.
We do
There's
have a
lots of
request
evidence.
about the birth, since we're talking about it.
Okay.
We would like special visitation for when she goes into the hospital, so Hayden could be there present at the birth.
Do we have any objection to that,
And,
counsel?
and this is part of the memo that you haven't seen is
Well, I didn't look at it, because I told you that's
right,
not
but
fun.
you're supposed to reach out to opposing counsel
Okay.
pursuant to 5501, and of course he's going to cooperate with that. There was
Okay.
some kind of visit to an uncle. She wanted to go to some type of wedding ceremony. As long as the child's not going to miss school and it's not going to be a problem with the
Okay.
schooling, my client doesn't have an objection.
Well, the baby's gonna be born this summer, unless he's gonna
Yep.
be, so,
Just needs to be communication,
Okay.
and we'll work something.
how about Tuesday, the 25th?
Tuesday the 25th, can you go to Applebee's? Will that work for both of you?
What time is good for everyone?
Use an email, I'll be there.
What time is good? What time's good for Miss Conant?
Anytime.
My calendar's free all day that
You
day.
get to pick, they don't seem to have an opinion.
lunch.
Would it be easier for the party, is Hayden
Just
in?
give it time. No school this summer.
How about 4:30? Early?
4:30? Okay? That's gonna be my
Town
order.
Square.
Look, the issue that
I'll
Ms. Conant's
confirm the
bringing
address.
forward is that your child is seeing that you guys don't have a united front. You need to get on the same page. You don't have to like each other, but you have to be on the same page for your kid. The court shouldn't have to be involved interfering on this part all the time, right? You guys should be adults and be able to do that. And I think that everybody's saying they tried. Well, evidently nobody tried hard enough, or somebody didn't try hard enough, whether it's one, two, or I don't know. But Miss Conant is trying, and it seems like she's the one who seems to be guiding a little bit better on having to, and I agree with her.
All I want the child to see is mom and dad can talk about the weather successfully.
The weather, what TV shows are on, what movies
What
are
they're
out,
going to go see.
What sports
how
they
happy
like
they
to-
are with the
Sports,
child.
yeah, talk about, I suggested that Hayden be charged with the responsibility of finding a sports activity halfway between mom and dad because he wants to participate in sports.
Okay.
I don't know the result. I know that there was an investigation made into the Tarkanian basketball camp because Hayden likes to play basketball. I checked Tarkanian camp, and those sessions it started yesterday or today, so that probably won't work. But this
But
is
there's other
Hayden
things.
wants to do this. I said a list of places he
Okay,
can
and then they'll have
contact.
better results in here with his homework. Because I mean, the fact that you guys are having to micromanage the homework situation shows that you guys are kind of both failing as parents right now. You realize that? I mean, your kid with the homework issue that you're having to make sure the child does the homework after school. I mean, this is not okay. Your kid is the one who's suffering. So I agree with Ms. Conant. What's happening with the extracurricular activity idea, guys? Mom, Dad?
He looked into the one he wanted to get involved with, ended in a week.
Okay.
So we said, well, look for something else.
Okay.
And one day he's ready to do it, and other days he wants to play with his friends.
Okay,
So I guess I've kind of
okay.
taken the back seat because I was instructed to let him take the motivation to find it.
I don't
Well,
know.
but he's voiced he wants to do it. Kids are fickle. They're
Yeah.
at his age. They're fickle. They
At
can't
this time of year,
decide.
they may not want to be in a sport.
Yeah, but he needs to try it. Is what you're saying. How he wanted to try it. Let's try it.
Yes.
Maybe it'll help. And the other thing is it'll give you guys another opportunity to show him you guys can co-parent. Like I said, go on the if it's soccer, it's hockey. A lot of hockey things going on in this valley, and there's a lot. You can start that almost every 5 weeks. Those things start. So learn to skate, learn hockey. I mean, he's old enough to go into hockey, but at least the good thing about that is it's cold. You're not gonna sweat in the middle of the summer. That's the good thing about those. So, and there's other things. Basketball. If he likes basketball, try that. Mom, what do you know about that? What's happened with your interaction with him on?
I don't have him that often, but when I do, he plays at the rec center,
Okay.
plays sports, but none of this has been brought to my attention.
And Your Honor, and that's what I meant by a deep and tortured history, just her.
Yeah, I saw that.
Her legal rights were severely limited.
I understand. I looked at it. It shows that she has mom's legal rights strictly defined as right to obtain medical education records and right to be consulted on major decisions affecting minor child's health, education, and welfare. Which is the weirdest thing. I know we had a different idea of what primary legal custody is, which is not comport with Nevada law.
Your Honor, if I could give you a brief history.
That'd be helpful.
Court originally gave my client sole legal and physical custody, but felt that the mother should at least be consulted on things, not to make the decisions, but consulted, because
Yeah, gave him that during
Mom
the
was making too many decisions on her own. She was taking the child, doing the medical procedures herself. She wasn't consulting with Dad. She didn't do any of these things. This case, as Mr. Carmen can tell you, or as I can tell you, for 13 years has been tortured. And my client has been
Yeah,
accused
sure.
of everything except the worst possible thing in the world.
Yeah, I can imagine.
And it's like toothpaste out of a tube. And once it's out, it's out. And this
Yep.
woman doesn't want him in her child's life. And that's the whole gist of this whole case.
And Your Honor, my client would have the exact opposite view of that.
Okay.
And she said, you know, if you look back to the time period where she had primary physical custody, she said, you can see my emails, you can see my text messages of keeping Dad informed on all levels. And my client had a psychological evaluation.
Yeah, but
twice.
Judge Potter heard all this in an evidentiary hearing held on November 14th, 2014, counsel. I don't need to rehash all of that. I do agree with you that, look, they need to co-parent. Bottom line, Ms. Conan is right. These parents need to co-parent better. And part of it could be the fact that we have this weird legal custody version. I get it. Mom, if you were taking him doing things that you shouldn't have been doing, shame on you. Let's fix it. Dad, same thing with you. If you guys weren't communicating back then, shame on you. So we need to fix this. I need you to co-parent, or the court's going to have a lot more to say about it, okay? So that's my concern. The fact that Ms. Conan's having to do her valuable time to come in here and address these issues that you guys couldn't even decide on going to dinner, and you're saying, oh, I didn't hear. All I keep hearing on this side is, I didn't hear about that. I don't know that I believe that's 100% true, because I'll bet you that come time they'll be able to show text messages and stuff. The other problem that you have, Mom, is that you're having unbundled attorney in, out. You know, you're in, you're out, you're in, you're out. That's a problem for you, and you're creating a problem. I understand it's a financial situation, but maybe if you had you hired your counsel to be here permanently, then we wouldn't have the issue of you not knowing. Part of that's on you. It's a decision you're making, whether it's financial. I understand that. I'm not going to look into your financial situation to determine if that's a wise thing to do. You're allowed to represent yourself, and sometimes that's unwise. So sometimes you're representing yourself, sometimes you're not. So when you're not, it's creating probably a problem that you're not getting all the information you need. So I'd consider that strongly if I were you. So my order is going to be that we're going to so we don't know when Dr. Mullen's going to be able to see this child. The other concern that I had is I looked at a lot of the videos, a lot of the information. It says it's information regarding whether there's going to be therapy or whether it's going to be an interview. Right. Counsel, can we address that so we can narrow the scope for Dr. Mullen? Are we saying he needs therapy? What's the deal?
Well,
The situation is...
The child was seeing a therapist through Dr. Ali's office, Fred.
Fred.
And there's no reason he shouldn't continue with Fred.
Fred left.
Oh, well, and then should we get another person at Dr. Ali's office to help him?
Oh, it's Dr. Ali's office? Okay.
We can.
So that would take care of the therapy. I think Bree Mullen was supposed to be doing an interview, a forensic interview to report
And
to
that's
court.
where it is a little muddled in the record.
Yeah.
I've looked
And
at it.
I
Said-
believe it was supposed to be a forensic interview
Okay,
as well.
all right.
And I-
Counsel, is that your understanding?
Yes.
I do
Okay.
not envy Your Honor, trying to learn all
13
this.
years,
You know,
yeah. Gone through videos, I've looked at everything.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're going to make sure that the order shows that it's going to be an interview that she's going to be conducting. As far as therapy for your son, Mom, tell me what's going on with that. I understand that therapist is no longer here. Do you think your son needs... look, I don't want to force children to go into therapy either if they don't need it, because then you're convincing them that something's wrong if something's not wrong. I don't like that
Can
either.
I speak for my
You
client?
bet.
I think Hayden absolutely would benefit from a therapist. Just so Your Honor understands, I mean, the problems in the past, it's funny, you talked about the homework and everything.
Oh, I looked at
It
all
was
of that.
through therapy that it was learned that Mom was telling Hayden not to do his homework because she thought it would give rise to a factual change in custody, change in circumstances. So the therapist has helped Hayden through that and through the processing the different instructions that he gets from his different parents. And I think he needs a support system. I'll let
Let's
Ms.
go ahead
Conant-
and line and say,
I
you
think-
met with the child, what do you think?
I think
Counsel?
he needs someone he can talk to about
Okay.
some of these
To
issues
navigate it.
privately.
Okay.
Okay, because
And I like him having a separate therapist, I didn't like.
I think he's
Grimaldi.
being tugged.
Okay.
Because another concern I have is that there seems to be a brick wall, a Berlin Wall, if you will, that anything that happens at mom's house, the child can't talk about at dad's house. And I don't know if it goes the other way, but
Okay.
if it does, shame on both of them. However, when it's natural for someone to want to talk.
Hey, I
guess
did this
what?
yesterday
did-
at mom's
and,
house.
And to find out there could be that prohibition, that concerns me because that's stifling the child's willingness to cooperate and talk to both parties. What is he harboring inside that we don't know about? That
Okay,
becomes a concern.
Mom, I don't know if it's going both ways, but I don't know if this Berlin Wall that she's referring is going both ways. Are you telling your son you can't talk to anything that happens at our house at Dad's house, Mom?
Absolutely not.
Okay.
I don't think anyone that speaks
All
to
right.
the child would know that it's not true.
Well, that's what your child, this is the problem. There's a difference between what's happening and what the child's perception is. And what really matters here is the child's perception. Whether you've said it or not, the kid's getting that message. Whether it's physically getting that message or whether it's you saying, no, Hayden, do not talk to your dad about this. The kid's getting the message or Miss Conant wouldn't know about it.
His dad
So my
doesn't wanna
concern
hear
is
about
that,
it.
pardon me?
His dad doesn't want to hear about it. He hates me. He says, "I
Okay,
don't wanna
again,
hear about it."
I'm okay with that. You understand, I understand that the issue is, you're missing my point here. I'm saying it doesn't matter what you guys each say to him. It matters to what this child is perceiving is coming from either side. Whether it's by your body language, both sides, okay? So, I want neither of you to be making that child feel like he can't share things. Because look, you want him to be able to go, hey, you should want him to come and say, hey, Dad, we went and played baseball yesterday, or we went to a soccer
Send a
game.
picture to your dad. Let's show him what we're doing.
Yeah, it needs to be
Take care of
happy.
Yeah, and I don't think that's happening.
It's
And
clear it's not.
And it needs to, because it's just bottled up inside,
Poor
and it's
kid.
unnatural. Another thing, Judge, we need to resolve telephonic contact
Okay.
when the child is with
Okay.
either parent. We
Perfect.
need to have a resolution of that.
Okay, let's deal with the therapist first. Mom, it's obvious that he needs some therapy, because if you're saying that, if that's the impression he's getting, and you're saying it's not coming from your side, then we need to figure out where it's coming, right? Okay, so, you're saying that the previous therapist is no longer available, it's Dr. Ali's office?
He was diagnosed with ADHD issues with Dr.
Okay.
Ali. He was seeing Fred at Dr. Ali's office.
Do you have an impression
Fred is
of what
left.
you want, do you have any suggestions of who you want to be the therapist?
She's fine with him staying there.
They can stay there. It's
Okay.
just Fred left.
We just
Fred
need to
left, are we
find
saying
him.
he's gonna be seen by somebody else? Is that what you want, Dad?
Well,
At that office?
We gotta meet with Dr. Ali and see who, if he
Okay.
has somebody available, please.
So why don't, my order's gonna be this, we're gonna follow who Dr. Ali, if Dr. Ali is the one who wants to see him and can see him, great. If Dr. Ali can't, maybe we'll follow his recommendation. Does everybody trust Dr. Ali? Okay.
Can I ask with this particular appointment, because there's so much distrust, that Ms. Conant reach out to Dr. Ali?
That would be
And ask
great.
for the
I would
appointment
like that to be the case.
Just so that there's no finger pointing, there's no distrust, and both, you
I'm
know.
making a note of that, Judge.
Okay, so Ms. Conant will make the call to Dr. Ali's office. If Dr. Ali says, I'm not taking new patients, just ask him for who he would recommend, and that's who it's gonna be, as long as it's within your insurance. Because certainly I'm not trying to run you guys financially in the ground either. Who covers some insurance? Your dad? Okay, so make sure, and that, they're on the plan, correct? That place is on the plan?
I don't remember if he was or wasn't, but I will
Well,
look.
let's try to make him on whatever plan you have, as best we can. I want him to have
Dad's been
therapy.
footing the bill.
I understand, but I want it,
Most people don't take any insurance, they just want cash.
I understand, but a lot of times you can get reimbursement depending on what your plan allows.
No,
My
So-
client has shared in the cost.
Okay, it's gonna be shared. Whatever is gonna be expended is gonna be shared 50-50 on the 30-30 rule. Do you both of you understand the 30-30
Yes.
rule? You both have counsel to explain it to you, so I wanna explain that. I would like him to be in before, Bree Mullen as soon as possible. The other issue is telephone contact. What's happening on each other's time? Dad, so when he's with you, how often is he talking to Mom?
he's got open access, he just never,
He has a cell phone?
he just recently got one yesterday,
Okay.
2 days ago.
Your Honor, she's had 1 hour in 4 years.
That's
Okay,
more than I've had.
45 minutes.
okay,
Okay, so I think we need set some parameters.
right.
And we did set parameters at the last hearing, but those parameters were tied directly to Hayden's schoolwork And I brought
Yeah, I
this
saw that.
I brought this up as an issue last time
Because I have the private 10-minute call to the non-custodial parent at 8 p.m. That's what we had previously. When I
and
reviewed the video, that's
Clark
what I found.
County doesn't input their grades right away, and so my client has done her own separate homework log, but it's just turning into his
Provided
grades
he's
aren't good
completed
enough that you can't
assignment.
call
We
mom.
are-
What does that do with the 8 o'clock call?
But I have a problem with
It did,
changing
counsel, in the...
phone calls to homework.
I agree.
Because that harms
No,
parents.
no,
not-
I don't like that either. I
Yeah.
didn't, when I read that, I went, ooh, because it said in here, it said, when I read through all the orders and the video, it talked about, provided he has completed his assignments, that was the order, at 8 p.m., provided he completed his assignments. That's not okay. I don't want it tied to that. I think that's not, you're gonna create that kid to use manipulative tactics that Ms. Conan is referring to. So it will not be tied to the homework anymore. It's 10 minutes. If he's not done his homework, he takes the break for 10 minutes, or 15 minutes, or whatever he feels comfortable.
We have zero objection. I think the issue is I think because of the issues that have gone on in this case, I don't think Hayden's necessarily comfortable picking up the phone and calling the other parent.
I think it works both ways. I think at
Yeah.
mom's house he's uncomfortable calling dad.
Well, he's
And
trying to
at
please
dad's house, he may
everybody.
be uncomfortable
You realize
calling
your
mom.
son is trying to please everybody when he's with
Yeah.
you, and that's so not fair to him.
Correct, and Your Honor, Hayden was reaching out to my client on his school email because that's how much he can't talk to mom during dad's time. So he'd reach out in his school email, and his dad would break into his school email, and then he would get in trouble for contacting my client.
I know,
know
but it's
I
a
would
little
like
more
part of
complicated
the
than that,
interview
Your
with Greg
Honor.
Mullen needs to be how comfortable he feels on his communication with his parents.
And that's my only concern. I'm totally fine with the order. I think both parties should make all reasonable steps to comply with the order. But it would be nice to hear from Dr. Mullen whether she thinks it'll really benefit her. I just think it's really tough for a child in the middle of a high conflict divorce case to pick up
Well,
the
it's
phone and have
terrible.
a friendly
And
conversation
he's 14.
with the other
But
parent.
the fact
It
that the fact that he feels like he has to do it by email at school is sad.
And the problem is, Judge, is that we
It
never
might
had
be
an
both
email
ways.
from Mom. Mom says she doesn't have an email address, so Dad couldn't communicate with her anyway by text.
But son can. That's interesting. That's interesting. You two need to start communicating.
Thank you.
That's the bottom line. And the fact that all the councils having to be involved in this is really, really, really sad and ridiculous. You need to communicate. Mom, you need to communicate as well. Does he not have your email address
I have an email address that he uses.
that,
We don't
that
have
Dad
hers.
uses?
We have a new
The
one that
son.
she's finally given to Dr. Mullen, and we think it was her dad's. It's ESS Johnson. So
Okay.
if it is hers.
That's your dad's email address or your email address?
I don't use email, so.
Then how does your son, how do you
So
said
why
your
do I
son
need
reached
to-
out to you?
Okay, so he communicated the email and set it up and one time communicated with me and I did not check it for weeks. And then he said, Mom, you didn't get my email. I said, I don't use email, honey.
Well, guess
Actually,
what?
I
Guess
said
what? I'm done with that. You're going to use email if you want to communicate with your son.
You're
We are
on-
in a technology age. You're going to have to use email because if you want to be in contact, you need to be plugged in.
I was gonna say, I believe there was an email from mom to the son talking about,
Lots of them.
Hayden's dearly adores the two dogs at mom's home. And it was an email from mom talking about walking the dogs. So there was a reach out
Okay.
through email.
Okay. All right. So you do have email now.
Yeah.
Okay. So the fact that you didn't have it before. So now I want you guys to communicate. How else do you guys communicate? Are we using our family wizard? Are we
Talking
using talking parents? That's why I should talking parents. I mean, all right.
And it just hasn't gotten any better since that came into place, Your Honor. And for example, something
Why?
as simple, Dad just does not communicate. And for example, homework.
Is there a response? Is it the problem response? See, the issues on communication like that are lack of response, and we could set a time limit that you have so many hours to respond. Is that what's happening, Mom? So why you're saying he's not communicating? What does that mean?
Well, for example, like on school projects, Dad won't communicate, hey, Hayden has this big school project due on Monday. It's Mom's weekend time. Mom doesn't find out till she sees a child during her time. Not even that it's due on Monday, maybe that it's due tomorrow. Dad has not touched anything on the project. He hasn't communicated anything to Mom. So her and Hayden stay up all night working on a project to get it to complete. So that's what I'm talking about, no communication from Dad's end. Plus he uses the fact that she has limited
Time.
time and limited legal custody. I think he just feels that he doesn't need to tell her these things. And so my
Okay.
client wants to know, Your Honor, well, we have pending requests before the court of an evidentiary hearing of joint legal custody, of primary custody temporarily to Mom, pending an evidentiary hearing in this matter. But my client wants to know now, what is the path to get to joint legal custody and not have these limitations.
It's Ellis versus Carucci. I think it's all clear in law that where we have to go. I mean, that's where we are right
Judge, I
now.
have a question. Are the assignments available on the Clark County School portal?
Dad, are they available in the portal?
Why don't we hear from Mr. Horodesky, because
Yes,
Mr. Horodesky has a
instead of
totally
this.
different response.
I understand.
Oh, I'm asking
No,
if the
no,
assignments
guardian
are.
letters, are those available? And does she not have access because of this weird legal custody that we have?
She has complete access. Every parent has complete access.
Well, that's not true. If you were to if the legal custody is limited where you have it, you wouldn't necessarily, because then they
The
would
school
block her
told me
from
that
it.
she had it.
Okay. Mom, do you have access to that?
I do now. I was removed 3 times in 1 year saying I had.
Okay,
no
you're not
legal
going to be removed
guardianship.
again. No matter whether it happened or didn't happen, my orders is to remain that moms have access.
I'm so
Are
curious.
those homework assignments on there or no?
Yes.
Okay. Look, I want you to take an active role and and I can't have a parent saying, "Oh, he didn't tell me, he didn't tell me." You're a parent. And as long as you have access on that, you need to be involved on your own as well. I think that's what Ms. Conant's saying, that look, that you need to if you have access, you need to do that on your own. It's not up to dad to spoon feed you, right? You need to be the parent as long as you have access. Now, if you were telling me you had no access, then that'd be different. My order is that you're to remain have access on that, okay? So
It's
that
the opposite. I'm the one doing everything. He's not. And he knows about the assignments.
Okay, but you just said that you didn't. But your
I'm
counsel just
doing
said. But your counsel just said you didn't know about it.
Because she'll
So,
find out from Hayden.
That-
but that's
Yeah,
the,
yeah,
but my
yeah.
question was, if it's shown on there, she would have found out if she did her due diligence and did searching for her child. That's my concern.
How does
I
that
can't
work
work
with
on
the
something while he's at his father's home. So if I
No,
do it
but your
Thursday night,
the
it's
question
Friday
is,
and nothing's
do you
been done all
know?
week.
Do you know what's being due? Because your counsel's.
I know what's being due, but nothing's
Okay.
being done until he comes to me. And so if it's a week-long assignment and I get him Thursday night and it's due the next day, that's a problem.
My client disputes it. I mean,
Okay, I understand. God, your client's going to dispute that that's occurring. So you're each supposed to do. Look, the problem is we've had to go to such extreme measures to where we have to limit when the kid has to start his homework when he gets home from school.
do
It's
we
kinda
get
ridiculous.
a parenting coordinator involved in this to deal with these communications?
How much money can you guys afford? That's a
They
problem.
Well, that's
You
a
know?
good question, Judge, because my rate is reasonable. I'm at $100 an hour. And I would like to advise the court, and I've advised Ms. Robinson, the defendant still owes me $250 to replenish her retainer. She clearly, from her memorandum, has an objection doing that, but I would like to have her do that
Understand.
because Dad's
I'm
been-
not dismissing Miss
My,
Conan.
my
in this.
client dropped that off, she said.
Okay, perfect, great.
No, well, if she did, I'd like a replacement check because my office manager will tell you we didn't get it. I received one check for $250.
You will take care of that, whatever it is, okay? Whether it's lost in the mail, stop payment on that check, issue a new check, please. I want
Thank
Ms.
you.
Conan involved in the case. Your child deserves that. I'm not going to order a separate parenting coordinator unless you want to take on a dual role, and that seems like
I
a
think
reach.
that's a conflict of
That's too
interest,
much
Your
of a
Honor.
conflict.
I think
No.
it's a conflict
That's where
of
you were saying
interest.
you have a reasonable rate, but I don't see I can do that, Ms. Conan. So, though I would like to, because I think you are the only one without a horse in this race, we can't do that.
I
don't
just
wanna
want Your
order
Honor to know, a lot of things have been said in this courtroom. I am biting my tongue because I don't want this to turn into
I
a
understand.
2-hour long
I
hearing.
understand. I understand, counsel.
Okay, I don't want you to think that my client's acquiescing or
I am
agreeing
not.
with
I'm not
anything
believing that
that's
in any way, shape, or form. I believe that you. I dealt with your law firm before. That you send plenty of notes and letters. I think the problem might be the fact that you have counsel, you don't have counsel, you have counsel, you don't have counsel. Might be creating part of the problem. If that's what it is, then we got to figure out a way to work through that. So now you have an email address, right, Mom? That email address, counsel, you have her email address now. Is that right? As of the.
Mullins Communications.
Is that the one you want? The one that's on Bree Mullins'
Everything is
document?
since October.
Okay, I want to make sure that's the one. Now there's no question that you can get the information.
It's
Counsel,
the
that's
ESS?
I think it's the EAA.
EAA?
okay.
EAA Johnson.
EA Johnson, is that right? Okay, so it sounds like counsel has it. That they'll communicate that way. Okay, we are still waiting on so phone contact. We talked about that.
8 o'clock at night, 10 minutes.
8 o'clock at night without the non-still parent. Understand that, Mom? It doesn't have to only be 10 minutes. I don't
Every
want to
night,
limit this
8
child
o'clock.
when he's with you or with you, but we need to encourage. Both sides need to encourage. But most importantly, I'm glad you're going to meet and have a dinner because I'm telling you, you need to start planning more things. I know you don't like each other. I get it. You say, he does this, she doesn't that. I don't want to hear any more about that. I want you guys to put aside your animosity. You're going to dinner with Miss Conant and to facilitate this appearance because you've got to understand the thing that you're all still missing. I understand all this about, oh no, that's not what happened, that's not what I said, oh that's not what happened, that's not what I said. The problem is what your child is perceiving. It doesn't matter if that's really what's happening. Your child's perceiving that he can't communicate with each side about what's happening at the other side's home. That should not be happening. You're putting that kid in such a terrible spot. So mom, encourage him. Hey, go tell dad how great time we had today. Or hey, you know, make him feel welcome to do that. And dad, same thing. Make him feel welcome to let him share with you what's going on in mom's. I want you both to feel, you know, to let them know it's okay. You need to be able to talk to your mom. Son, you need to be able to talk to your dad. You need to be able to tell them that. They need to be able to communicate with each other. Don't lock him in this where he feels that he has to protect both of your feelings. You're adults. You kind of got to grow up and let the child be the child, and you guys need to be adults. And I don't know who's to blame, and I'm not digging into that, but I think you guys, you hear from my voice that I'm not happy with that. So mom, if it's you that's stopping it, fix it. Dad, if it's you that's stopping it, fix it. Put aside your animosity. Miss Conan is right. Your child just needs to see kind of a united front. He will do better in school if that's the case. He'll have a better future if that's the case. You want your child to go to college and be successful, don't you? You don't want this to be the reason he's not successful, do you? Okay. Right now, that's what's going to happen. I'm going to tell you what the way that you guys are right now, and the feeling that your child has a perception. It doesn't matter whether it's real or not. That's his perception. I want him to just go to the therapy. So my order is going to be the therapy. We're going to get, when we have a date from Bree Mullen, I would like to know, I mean, she'll submit the other thing that I note in here is that I note that the report, originally there are stipulations that it was not to be shared with the court. That was my other question for counsel.
I don't recall that.
I don't recall that either.
Okay, I looked in the minutes and that's what it showed, and I was concerned about that because I assumed you wanted that's why you're doing it. Not just for you guys to use it for fodder, but for the court to see it. Is that your understanding, both of you?
Yeah, we thought the court would see it. And then my client's question though regarding Dr. Mullins is dad is the one with the legal custody, right? Why are we just signing a contract at the end of May, and why don't we have an appointment set up? Even if the appointment is in August or September, why don't we have a date here tonight?
I'm gonna say because I didn't hear from Dr. Mullen till,
Okay.
I
It
just,
sounds like the problem is Dr. Mullen has a busy schedule. and
I
we're-
just sent an email to the team administrator and got an automatic response that the team administrator who sets the appointments was gone from June 6th to July 22nd, so I sent another email just now to the scheduling office, and I've asked them to respond.
okay, I, have her direct email, so I
Okay.
might be able to send
Okay.
Dr. Mullen an email.
And Your Honor, to facilitate the telephone communication, Hayden has a cell phone. It's not currently
But he
being,
just got it. Dad just said
it's
he just
not
got
currently being brought to mom's house because of fear that it's not going to be returned.
Okay.
I
My
don't-
order is look, I don't want him, let me tell you what that tells that child too, counsel. It also says, look, you don't get to take anything fun to moms, and I want that prevents him from feeling comfortable with moms. He should be able to take his cell phone there mostly to communicate with you, Dad. I think you'd like that, right?
I'd love him to take it.
Okay.
My concern
Mom,
is,
if that cell phone does not get returned with your son, you're gonna have to issue, answer questions for this court. Do you understand?
Yeah, I understand that.
Okay, so I want him to be able to feel comfortable. That's a step in him feeling like he can communicate. If he has a cell phone at your house, he has a cell phone at your house, he can use that cell phone to communicate.
We would like the additional order then that neither parent go through and filter messages or delete messages. Mom wants to feel that she has just as much access as dad is going to have
I
on
would
that
put a
phone.
Nobody should
caveat
be able
on
to
that,
put that.
Judge, that
Go
during,
after them.
when the child's in school, there are to be no phone calls or text messages
agree.
to the child.
I agree, because
We agree.
he's already struggling in school. We already know this. No communication, no text message. We're not going to harass the kid at school. But I also, on any way, whether it's email, whether it's if he emails you during school time, Mom, you're not to respond until after he's home. Okay? And I want it to be through his regular. I want him to be able to feel like he, but I want the phone to go with the child. Look, I don't want him to feel like he doesn't have communication with either of you. Because if there's a problem, look, Mom, if you were to go into labor, now we also need to talk about the birth. We talked about the birth a little bit. So you wanted to bring up anything else about the birth, counsel?
Well, just that she would like
So
Hayden
you-
to be present.
To be present. So you're going to reach out to counsel and let him know.
What does that mean though? Does that mean in the delivery room?
Yeah,
Or
what is that
yes.
exactly? What do you want happen?
And come to the hospital when the child's born.
Okay, you're not talking during the delivery. You're talking, so after the baby's born, so let's make sure we have an order on how this is going to work. Because I don't know if she's going to go labor tomorrow. So when you go in, what would be your plan, Mom? Are you saying after you have the baby, you're going to have somebody text him and say, hey, can he come visit me today? He's in the hospital, and Dad, you'll drop him off there for a few hours or whatever it is? Well, you're going to be busy with a new
My
baby.
parents are welcome to pick
Okay.
them up
Okay, or
And
facilitate.
my client will even text them when she goes into labor, so he has some advance notice.
so he could be excited and feel the excitement of his sibling. Okay, so that would be my order. You're going to text them when you go into labor. Say, hey, by the way, just a heads up, since this isn't your first child, he might come sooner. And Dad, facilitate him coming. He's not going to be coming in the middle of the night. It's going to be normal, regular hours. Visiting hours of the hospital. I don't want I don't want him to have to be dragged at 2 in the morning either, because, you know, he's a teenager. So I don't think anybody wants that. Though everybody rushes, you know, when my family has babies, everybody rushes to the hospital in the middle of the night. We sit in the chairs all night and wait, but that's not going to happen with a
You
teenager.
can't be there under the age of 18 after
Okay,
hours.
perfect. Okay, so so that'll be the order, okay, as far as anything else I need to address today?
Judge, I have a request.
Okay, thank you.
I have read the memorandum. I'd like to have an oral motion for the court to appoint me as a special master in this matter.
Okay, special master means she has a little more power and that she can say, and since I have not read the memorandum, counsel, that's my only concern. I have not
I'm
read
accused of several things, Judge, and I'm afraid down the road it's leading
Okay.
to perhaps a suit against me personally. And I don't want to do this work at such a substantially discounted rate, do the best I can, and then be sued. So I'm requesting to be appointed as a special master.
She should have the protections of a special master.
Any objection, counsel?
My client says that she has had conflict before with a previous special master. She didn't like that setup.
Potter dismissed
Who?
them because it caused
Who?
no conflict.
Who?
Judge Potter dismissed.
Who was the
Horodesky.
She was
It caused
a,
Okay.
no
And
She's
I'm
not
not
hearing
interested
nothing.
in expanding
No,
what
no,
I'm
no,
doing
no.
in this matter, Your
I
Honor.
understand.
I'm just trying to protect myself from potential
Okay.
litigation.
I'm going to grant your request, counsel.
Thank you.
I think she's not expanding, we're not doing it for the purpose of expanding. So it'll be with a limited purpose to have those protections. I think we're already imposing on her to do an awful lot, so.
And then my client's other request, and she can put it in the motion she refiles, but she wanted to reduce her child support for a couple of months.
I'm not going to hear that now. Well, first of all, the child still needs to eat. So, I mean, we'll deal with that. You need to file that as a proper motion, counsel, and you can put that in the motion. We'll deal with it. Anything else I need to handle, counsel?
not that I can think of. Do you have anything else?
Parents, please take what I advise you to do. Go to dinner early dinner.
4:30.
And I don't want that to be the only thing. I want to see, other than your situation, ma'am, with you're about to give birth. Other than that, I don't want that to be the only incident that you guys are able to go together. I don't think you should have to have Ms. Conan to be there every time either. I think you should be able to use that as a platform to set up something new. So by the time you're done with that dinner, I would like you both to suggest something. Hey, let's get together and do this in front of your child. Hey, how about that? Both of you come up with ideas that he might be interested in. I understand, Mom, you can't go doing things right now that are active like ice skating or jumping on trampolines. I get all that, but let's find something else. So I want you to have that in mind. I want you to start working a little more together. If I have to force you, I'll have to force you if you can't be grown up enough to do so. So I would like this as the first dinner, and I don't expect this to be the last thing that they do together, Miss Conan, or that's not going to help this child.
Right.
So I want you both to come up with something for your proposal when you're at dinner. Hey, maybe in another month we can do this, and it doesn't mean that Miss Conan has to be in the middle of it. I would like you guys to start being able to start co-parenting without everybody involved
Even
in your
if
life.
they attend school functions together.
Well, you know, why don't you guys have a discussion at dinner about, hey, you know, you talked about going and doing some fun things like basketball or this. What are you interested in? You guys can get out your phones and, hey, what about this? This is being offered right now. Do you want to sign up for soccer in the fall? Do you want to sign up for basketball in here? Do you want to sign up for baseball, hockey, whatever? Why don't you bring up that, and maybe you guys talk about, hey, we want to support you in this together. Me and your mom want to support you together. Me and your dad want to support you in this together. I want you to put forward that image to him. I realize you don't have to like each other, but his perception needs to be fixed, because he will do so much better if you'll fix his perception. Okay? Anything else I'm missing?
Well, Your Honor, my client's requests are still pending from December, and part of it was waiting on the forensic interview, part of it was waiting on the guardian ad litem.
And that's what we're waiting for,
And-
counsel.
yeah,
And you're filing
Nothing
another
in
motion
line.
anyways.
And I guess it's a question to the court. At the December hearing,
Mm-hmm.
we argued that she had not met the Rooney standard. Judge Steele basically said, I'm not going to make any determination today. We're going to do a child interview first, and then there's
Right,
going
and
to
I'm
be
still going to take that position because that's what she ordered. I'm not going to do it until I see the interview.
Direct question to the court is, at the return hearing on the,
I want you to argue your motions.
Okay.
I'm going to ask you to argue your motions at that time, because I'll start out with the review of the interview, because that's what Judge Steele ordered. I'm not overturning everything she did. I'm not trying to recreate the will here. You guys have a long tortured history, but I want to get it cleaned up. So that's going to be more, and you guys are stuck with me on the bench for at least a while. So understand that I'm not always the easiest to deal with, because I expect better from parents than what you guys have shown your son. Okay, so the fact that Ms. Conan had to suggest a dinner, I'm grateful that she did. That's a start, but I don't want it to be the end for you guys. I want you guys to suggest something after that. So at that meeting, remember, I want you to come up with some ideas that you guys can do together to show him a united front. You're going to create a monster if you don't show a united front, you guys. So clearly, then your son will be down in the juvenile delinquency departments downstairs instead of up here, and you don't want that either. So you need to curb that right now, your attitude towards each other in front of him, okay? So that's my order. Council, I need an order prepared for today.
Okay, do we want to set a return hearing, or will the court notice a hearing?
This is
when
what I
the-
want, this is what I'm gonna do. I will receive, if Ms. Mullen, make sure that if all council advisors submit it to the court, I will tell them to watch out for it, and I will, we will put it on calendar and give it notice of hearing at that time, okay?
So that'll be
If you don't hear from the court, just in case it gets missed, if you guys see the report, call my JEA and say, the court asked for it to be scheduled, please notice the hearing just in case. I want a backup plan.
Can we have it in the minutes so that we can put
Yes.
it in the order too?
Yep.
I'm sorry, when Ms. Conant does what? I missed that.
No, when Ms. Mullen,
When
when
Ms.
Bree
Mullen.
Mullen, Dr. Mullen submits the report.
I-
Submits the report,
Oh,
my
okay.
JEA is going to, I'm gonna have them watch out for it, but in case we miss it, I'm gonna set the hearing then. Cause I don't know when that's gonna be
Yeah.
council. So once we get the report, I want a hearing right away, as soon as I can get you in right after that to address it, then you have to address your motions at that time. And then, but if for some reason it's not set within a few days after we get it, I want one of you to contact my JEA when you receive it to say, hey, just a reminder. So I want a backup plan. I don't want us missing this. I don't want this kid languishing, and I want him back in therapy, so we're gonna move forward on that as well.
Great.
Mr. Carmen, if you could prepare the
I
order
will.
from today.
All right,
Thank you
Jen.
very
Thank
much,
you.
Aaron.
She's
Talk to
gonna
Lynn.
call.
Lynn, you're gonna call Dr. Ali, right?
I'm gonna call Dr. Lee and I'm gonna